We continue now at the top of Daf Kuf Yud Gimel Amid Beis in Meseches Bava Basra. This is Bava Basra Daf 113b. On the previous summit, the Gemara brought the Mishnah which said that the sons of a person's sisters, they inherit from him, but they do not bequeath. And the idea over here is that a person's sister, of course, can inherit from him, and then she can then bequeath it to her son, because a son inherits from his mother, but it doesn't go in the other direction. A mother does not inherit from her son. And the Brisa that the Gemara brought said that this is true of the sons of this sister, but it's not true of the daughters of this sister. And that's problematic, of course, because the daughters could inherit from their mother. Let's say there are no sons. And so that's why the Gemara now asks, Lamai Hilchasa. So for what halach is this Brisa talking about, saying that the daughters of the sister don't inherit, but the sons do? And the Gemara answers, Amar Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes says, Lakadim. It just means in terms of precedence, because the sons have precedence to inherit from their mother. If there are sons, then they are the ones that will inherit, and not the daughter. But if there are no sons, so then the daughters will be able to inherit from their mother. And the Rashbam explains, Lamai hilchasa mimayet lahu. For what halach are we excluding these daughters? It doesn't make sense. Havada yorshos ache iman. They certainly do inherit from the brother of their mother. Sharei habas yoresh ima, because a daughter does inherit from her mother. Uvemakom ima omedes liyaresh ache ima, and she would stand in the place of her mother to inherit from the brothers of her mother. Sharei ha'isha yoreshes ache, because we do know that a woman can inherit from her brothers. B'makom she'enach, if there's no brothers. Kidel kaman b'samach, like we'll say later on. Demakesh yerusha shniya Yerusha Rishona. And so the Gemara answered, Lakadim sheyiktemu habanim lebanos. It simply means that the sons come before the daughters. Liyaresh es dodehen, they're going to inherit first in terms of inheriting from these uncles. The alfinan lekamon mi Yerusha Rishona, the haben kodem lebas, as we're going to say in a moment, from Yerusha Rishona, that the son has precedence over the daughter, not only in a direct situation of inheritance, where they're inheriting directly from their parents, but even in a situation where it's indirect. Let's say they're inheriting from the uncle, still the sons have precedence over the daughters. And the Gemara continues, Tani Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak kami de Rav Huna. Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak taught before Rav Huna. V'yorash, the pasuk says, V'yorash makesh Yerusha shniya Yerusha Rishona. We compare the second inheritance to the first inheritance. The first inheritance refers to a child that's inheriting directly from their parents, and Yerusha shniya really refers to anything that is more indirect than that. Let's say someone's inheriting from their uncle, etc. That's all included in Yerusha shniya. And the Gemara continues, Ma Yerusha Rishona, just like by the direct inheritance, the first inheritance, if a child inherits from the parent, ben kodem labas, the halach is that the son takes precedence over the daughter, meaning if there are sons, then the daughters do not inherit from their parent. Af Yerusha shniya, the same thing is true by the secondary inheritance. Let's say, for example, inheriting from the uncles, we're also going to say ben kodem labas, the son has precedence over the daughter. And the Gemara continues, Tani Rava bar Chanina kame de Rav Nachman. Rava bar Chanina taught before Rav Nachman, V'hoya biyom hanchilo as bonov. It says that on the day that the inheritance goes to the children, and we understand from that pasuk, biyom atamapel nachalos. It's during the day that the inheritance happens, v'i atamapel nachalos belayla, but it does not happen during the night. And the Gemara continues, Amar le Abaye, so Abaye said to him, Ela me'ata, according to that, Teshachiv biyamama hu diyarsi leibane, if somebody dies during the daytime, then his sons will inherit him, and man teshachiv belayla lo yarsi leibane, and someone who dies at night, then his sons don't inherit him. That doesn't make any sense. What does it mean that inheritance is only during the day? And so the Gemara says, Dilma din nachalos ko'amrit. So the Gemara says, maybe what you mean to say, Abaye says, maybe what you mean to say is that the law of nachala, meaning when we divide up the actual inheritance among those who are inheriting the property, so that's already considered to be like a din. It's considered to be like a judgment, like a court case, and court cases can only happen during the day. And the Gemara continues, the Tanya, as we learned in a Brisa, v'haisel v'nei Yisrael chukas mishpat. It says that this will be a chukas mishpat, and this is talking about in the context of inheritance. The full pasuk is ve'mein achim liyaviv, if there are no brothers for the father, nesatem es nachaloso, l'she'ero hakarov elav mimishpachto, so you give the inheritance to the closest relative, v'yorash osa, and that person inherits, v'haisa livnei Yisrael l'chukas mishpat, and it says that this is a chukas mishpat, and we understand from the word chukas mishpat, ora kol haparsha kula lios din, the parsha is telling you that it's all considered to be a judgment. When you actually distribute the property among the heirs, that's considered to be a din, and that has to take place during the day. And the Gemara continues with Rav Yehuda, and it follows Rav Yehuda, the Amar Rav Yehuda, because Rav Yehuda says, Shlosha shenichnasu levaker es hachola. If three people go to visit the sick person, ratzu kosvin, ratzu osin din. If they want, they can write it down. Let's say the sick person gives instructions, he gives a will of what he wants to do with his property. So if they want, they can act as witnesses, and they can write down what he says. And if they want, they can act as judges, since there are three of them. That's what it means, osin din. They can act as judges in terms of distributing his property, in terms of carrying out his will. Shnayim, but let's say there's just two of them that are visiting, so they obviously cannot be a court because it's only two people. So kosvin ve'ein osin din, so they can write it down, they can be like witnesses, but they cannot do judgment. V'yomer Rav Chisda said on that, lo shanu ela b'yom, all of this is only true during the day, because you can only have a court case during the day, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Kuf Yud Dalid Amud Aleph.